New Caledonia is an exotic and yet little-known overseas territory of France in the South Pacific. The archipelago, which lies around 1,500 kilometers east of Australia, is not only important because of its unique nature and culture, but also because of its political and historical role. But why does France still control the archipelago today? And what makes New Caledonia so special? The history of New Caledonia begins with the probable colonization of the island by people of the Melanesian culture. Later, Polynesians also arrived on the island. The descendants of these tribes still live on the island today and form today's indigenous Kanak people. New Caledonia first became known to the Western world in 1774 through the British explorer James Cook, who gave the archipelago its current name. He called the island Caledonia because it is derived from the Latin name for Scotland and because the rugged coastline reminded him of the Scottish Highlands. However, the archipelago quickly became the focus of European colonial powers. At times, it was colonized by both the United Kingdom and France. However, France annexed New Caledonia in 1853 and established a penal colony shortly afterwards. Thousands of convicts were deported to New Caledonia. The indigenous population was suppressed from 1887 by the Code de l'Indigénat massively. This code subjugated the natives as French subjects, so they were not considered French citizens. As a result, they had fewer rights, and their entire way of life was dictated by the respective governor. Although this code was abolished on 22 December 1945, it was not until 1953 that all inhabitants were granted French citizenship. During this time, France began to increasingly develop the islands economically. Nickel mining in particular played a central role, as New Caledonia still has around 7% of the world's nickel deposits, making the archipelago a strategically important area. Convicts were mainly used as labor, though workers from Asia and Oceania were also recruited. During the Second World War, New Caledonia also became important militarily. The archipelago served as an important base for the Allies in the Pacific War against Japan. After the war, New Caledonia remained a French overseas territory, but the desire for independence among the indigenous population grew ever louder. The Kanak people, who had long been politically and economically marginalized, began to actively fight for their independence in the 1980s. Violent clashes broke out, resulting in over 70 deaths and nearly leading to civil war. The climax was the hostage-taking of 27 police officers and a judge by separatists in April 1988, which was ended by French special forces in May of the same year. However, in 1988, the so-called Matignon Agreement was signed, which set out a roadmap for the gradual self-determination of the archipelago. In the agreement, the island was divided into 3 provinces and 33 municipalities. Another agreement, the Noumea Agreement of 1998, stipulated that New Caledonia's independence should be voted on in a maximum of 3 referendums. The first independence referendum took place on the 4th of November 2018, the second on the 4th of October 2020, and the last on the 12th of December 2021. In all referendums, however, a majority of the population voted in favour of remaining. One of the main reasons for this is the economic dependence on France, particularly with regard to financial aid and the nickel trade. But the future of New Caledonia remains uncertain. Even though independence was rejected in the last referendums, the debate is far from over. Many independence supporters see the results as only provisional decisions and hope for further votes. On the other hand, the French government emphasizes that New Caledonia enjoys a high degree of autonomy as part of the French Republic and continues to receive economic support. But New Caledonia is not just a political issue. The archipelago is also a biological paradise. With its coral reefs, tropical rainforests, and one of the most diverse faunas and floras in the world, it attracts nature lovers and scientists alike. The UNESCO World Heritage Site of the New Caledonian Lagoon is one of the largest coral reefs in the world and is home to countless marine creatures. Culturally, New Caledonia is of course unique. As already mentioned, the Kanak people, who make up around 41% of the population, are still deeply rooted in their traditions. Their customs are strongly centered on community and connection with nature. It emphasizes values such as respect, hospitality, and the exchange of gifts. The worship of ancestors and spiritual powers, as well as communal festivals and dances, also characterize the cultural life of the Kanak. Nevertheless, they are often in conflict with the French presence and the descendants of European settlers, which makes the question of independence so complex. In conclusion, New Caledonia is a region that stands between tradition and modernity, between indigenous roots and a colonial past. The economic importance of nickel mining and the ecological value of its unique natural environment make the archipelago a globally significant place. That's all for today. If you want to know why Hitler never attacked Switzerland, I can recommend my video about it. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Ciao!